is the relations between India and Pakistan that are always fragile over the two issues. One is Kashmir and the other one is water. So water security and the scarcity of resources is becoming actually something very important to discuss about, because it is the thing on which, according to which, the countries are interacting with each other and competing with each other. Water scarcity is actually a major geopolitical challenge in South Asia in the current situation, especially between the relationship of India and Pakistan. And over India's suspension of Indus Water Treaty and the construction of several hydropower projects on rivers shared with Pakistan, the arbitration ruling questions some Indian projects and New Delhi rejecting those decisions. Fear of the weaponization of water I am talking about, its implication for the regional stability are intensifying. To discuss about that, we are joined by Dr. Hassan Abbas, who is international water resource expert and hydrologist. Dr. Hassan, welcome to the show. What do you think that how serious is the threat posed by India's suspension of Indus Water Treaty to Pakistan's long-term water security? Because it is considered as a challenge of present, as a challenge of future when it comes to the relations of Pakistan with India.
Yeah, I think this is a very important issue between India and Pakistan right now. And it had been a very important issue since 1948, when India first did the water irrigation against Pakistan by shutting down the canals which were flowing into Pakistan but being controlled by India. And that very act of 1948 was actually a war crime, but we never pursued our case in the International Criminal Court. So rather, we signed a treaty. And ultimately, we allowed India everything in that treaty which they demanded in 1948. On 1st of April 1948, India made a very clear statement that they wanted Ravi, Byas and Satluj entirely and exclusively for their use, and not a drop of these three rivers will be allowed to flow to Pakistan. And they said that Pakistan, which is already dependent on these rivers in Punjab and Sindh, must arrange water from the western rivers. And that was their stance in 1948. And they got everything in the treaty. And not just this, they also got something in the treaty which they did not ask for in 1948. And that was the permission to build unlimited number of hydropower projects on the western rivers. This was never their demand in 1948, but they still got it in 12 years later in Indus Water Treaty. And one of the most important thing, which is considered ecocide and complete environmental destruction and human rights violation, that they also got in the treaty, that they got legalized in the treaty, and that was the permission to dump untreated pollution in unlimited quantity in Ravi and Satluj after they flow in Pakistan. So this is what the treaty is.
Dr. Hassan, your point is well taken. Dr. Hassan, your point is well taken, but considering the violations which India is doing right now, can international arbitration mechanism effectively, enforce the treaty obligations when one party rejects the ruling?
Okay, this is something very interesting now, because whatever we are doing in the court of arbitration, and recently we have also launched a complaint in the United Nations Security Council, and we also did a very good event in Brussels where we highlighted the Indian violation of the treaty. Of course, whatever India is doing is against the treaty, and whatever we are doing with respect to court of arbitration and our next move, which is in the UN Security Council, those two are the steps in the right direction. However, these steps are still, I would say, too little, too late. We should be way more aggressive on diplomatic and legal front against India on this issue, because As far as court
We
of
are doing when
arbitration,
it comes to the diplomatic relations with India. We are very much clear about our stance. When it comes to the water issue, when it comes to the border issue, we are very clear about it. And that's how we are doing in the regional conflicts, and that's how we are doing in the global conflict. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan Abbas, for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, we are running short of time. That's why I couldn't ask you a lot of questions. We were joined by Dr. Hassan Abbas, who's international water resource expert and hydrologist, and we were discussing about the water weaponization which India is doing right now.